Hey everybody, welcome back to my motherfucker channel, Memoirs of a Divine Feminine. It is yours truly, Jordana. My friends call me Jody for short. Um, I'm a Latina trans woman here to share my journey on spiritual growth and development of like self love and self worth and all that because I've had some pretty fucked up experiences, but they've each helped me become a better person and grow both spiritually and emotionally. If you haven't watched any of my videos, I recommend you watching at least the first three on my channel, so you more or less have a little background on where I'm coming from. And if you don't really want to go back that far, then you can start watching the videos from starting from the one that's titled "The Beginning," because yeah, all these are pretty much just like me going a little further in depth of like my background and my journey thus far, that's brought me to my spiritual growth and my spiritual development that I've reached up to this point. But anyway, without further ado, let me fucking pick up from where I left off because the fucking phone completely cut off. I was using my phone to record on the other one. But anyway, I guess it got full and it stopped recording. But anyway, guys, so I'm gonna wrap up that little story real quick and get into the last motherfucker that I was with, which was the most recent and really the one that got me kickstarted on my journey. So this last motherfucker that I was with, another man that I invested so much emotion into. So with the loss of my uncle, the recent loss of my grandmother and my aunt, and then still, even then, because of all that death, to still think about, you know, my hubby that I had lost. Yeah, I was crushed on a fucking level that to say I was beyond depressed. I was beyond depressed. Low was not low enough, you guys. But that got me even further into drugs. So now I was just being reckless. I was being reckless with myself, with my drug use, with my drinking, with my just abuse of any and every substance that I could have access to or that I was offered pretty much. And so I was, fuck, I was abusing drugs. I was having sex left and right. Just doing shit that's unhealthy and so disrespectful for and so disrespectful toward yourself as a human being, as an individual. Um, because and uh, I mean, I kind of have to, I guess, touch on like the whole thing with my siblings because um that's what really gave me the final push. But throughout all this bullshit, um, even before that, anytime that there's been some shit going on with my family or just like um anybody like anything like that, I've always been the one that people call because just for support, all that shit. And so there were a lot of times when I've been there for family in situations, just hearing them out or whatever, just going through the fucking motions because yes, I'm a human being that fucking feels and has a brain and realizes that sometimes people just need a vent and get shit off their fucking chest. And so even when it's been a situation that I don't really give a fuck to hear about or whatever because it's a fucking situation on repeat, like my sister's relationships and shit. Um, Whatever, like I'm still there because that's at the end of the day, that's my sister. Um, I would want her to be there for me when I need somebody to like lend me an ear and just hear me out on whatever I need to vent about. You know what I'm saying? And so I've always been that person for mainly my sister and even like any of my siblings really because I've always made it loud and clear that if they need anything to talk about anything whatever, they can always come to me because I've been just as open, if not more open, with them about my own things because I want them to feel that comfortable coming to me and sharing things about, shit that may concern them or whatever. Um, and the day after I had broken the engagement, I remember I was home and in my room, and I, y'all, it was this, uh, un, un, uh, I was not able to stop my tears. I was crying and crying, crying with such sadness. It was like a passionate cry. And I know that that sounds weird, but to say, but what I mean by that is like, it was a passionate cry in the sense that, um, like I cried with feeling because I was genuinely like that hurt at the fact that the moment that I decided to go to my sister and just to like have her hear me out because I was having a moment and I needed somebody to be there for me. You guys want to know what this bitch says? Why the fuck these words ever came out of her mouth, I will never know. I don't give a fuck to know, honestly. And I haven't spoken to her since because her response was beyond fucked up, especially coming from somebody that, aside from being thinking I'm really close to and always being there for, her fucking response just caught me off guard, y'all. And it was so fucked up, and it's something that to this day, y'all, like I still haven't gotten over. And if God can forgive some like crazy ass shit, I can forgive that too. And yeah, I have. I got to make peace with myself and with the situation and move on. But it doesn't mean I forgot. But anyway, so the day that, like the final straw, I decided to call my sister thinking, oh, today I'm the one that needs my sister, so of course I'm going to call her. And I start bawling with her, because like I just felt so sad, so, so sad. And I was crying, but it was such an intense cry because I was so beyond depressed. And she picks up the phone and like I'm crying to her and like trying to explain to her what's going on and to talk to her. And this bitch straight up says, "Go play the violin somewhere else." What the fuck? I bet y'all didn't see that coming, huh? Yeah, I didn't either. And yet this bitch God fucking told me at the moment that I needed her the most, go play your violin somewhere else. From that moment on, swear to y'all, that person, and I say that person now because it's sad to say that I feel a lot more comfortable referring to them as those people and that person because siblings don't do that type of shit. They just don't. Siblings are supposed to be the ones that are there for you, the ones that you guys are there for each other, amongst each other. Because you can't always go to mom and dad. So part of having brothers and sisters is having each other to be there for each other, right? Anyway, I didn't speak from that moment on. I haven't since then. I haven't spoken with my sister. I don't give a fuck to speak to her. I have a brother that I haven't spoken to because he's too young and he actually lives with his mom out of state. And the other brother that I have that's old enough to actually fucking say hello, he just chooses not to because for whatever fucking reason, as big a motherfucker as my brother is, for whatever fucking reason, he can't seem to think for himself. And if my sister doesn't speak with me, isn't talking to me, then he isn't talking to me either. Stupid shit. Stupid as shit. It ain't because I got beef with him or anything like that. It's because my sister isn't speaking with me, so then he doesn't talk with me because what the fuck ever. Anyway, that's how fucking petty and bullshit my family is, y'all. But family, huh? Like it's fucking. When I hear songs and like things about talk about like, oh, family's the only one you can count on, and family is, I'm like, honestly, huh? Nah, I ain't jaded, I ain't fucking jinx or whatever the fuck, I ain't anything like that. But my family really is like that, where it's just like makes you think like family's the only one you can count on. Well, like what the fuck? Like since when? Like because these motherfuckers are some of the ones that tripping and trifling the most. The fuck? Like that's some yeah, like that's some real shit, y'all. And y'all motherfuckers know it too. It's true. It's like what the fuck? But anyway, you guys, so yeah, all that going through all that shit just got me further into fucking depression and further into drugs and overindulging in shit that I should not have been doing. But not even gonna lie, it felt better to numb shit out than to fucking feel it, because if I felt it, it was nothing but sadness and depression, and it was just like this constant feeling of wanting to just fucking cry without end. I at one point I remember like I did cry until my eyes literally fucking burned and they were red and they were just hurting because it was just too much. It was too much. But that toxic fucking behavior carried into what became my last and most current relationship. I ended up meeting somebody that I hit it off with, and yeah, not gonna lie, we originally met up because we wanted to get it on, and we did. But what we didn't, um, what I didn't know was that he was a recovering drug addict, and I was somebody that would recreationally use drugs. Had I known that he was a recovering drug addict, never in my fucking life would I have introduced that shit, or even mentioned it, even the fucking idea of it. It never in my fucking life. But I didn't know, and so this beautiful boy that I was, really feeling, and he was totally feeling me too. Um, like I asked him like if he wanted to fucking smoke, and of course the drug of choice was methamphetamine, and he said yes. So we started smoking, and smoking, like every so often became like every other day, couple days a week, then like every day. And it became, at first I thought, okay, it's all in a good time. Like like I'm not a fucking prude or some like old fucking person. Like I love sex. And I do enjoy drugs. And no, I'm not saying go do them. Hell no, I'm not saying that. Fuck no. I don't recommend anybody go out and do drugs. No, it's fucking dangerous. And yeah, unless you're around people that you trust, I do not recommend doing it. Even if you are around people you trust, I don't recommend doing them. Period. Um, but like I found, I don't know if I allowed the drug use to get as bad as it did, because I found comfort in his companionship, or I found comfort in the fact that we were both kind of hurting in different ways, and so because of it, we were kind of codependent and kind of almost like trauma bonding, when you like bond over some shit that made like that like both of you like feel some type of way about. And anyway, um so he and I, and we'll call him the bad boy. So he and I started hanging out, and like the thing with me, like I've made it very clear in other videos, is that I'm always down for a good time, but I know exactly when the fuck the time comes to stop and get back to fucking reality. Get back to work and get back to your studies, get back to whatever the fuck you're doing, but get back to your life. Because a good time is a good time, and that's nice, but at some point you gotta get back to reality, period. It's the world we live in. Get with it. Um, and with him, I kept on making excuses and exceptions and justifications and whatever. Um, and it it got so bad that that he got me kicked out of where I was living at the time. He overdosed on me 3 fucking times, and each time I brought him back, it got we were living out on the streets out of a fucking car. Yeah, how the fuck I got to that point, I'll never know. I honestly don't. I don't know at what point I allowed my life to go to that depth, that low, but it did. And in the middle of all this bullshit that I was going through, and let me tell you guys, it was not something easy to break away from because I truly loved this man. I gave him everything, every fucking thing, down to my last fucking penny, because whatever the fuck he needed, I wanted to be able to, like, I didn't want him to stress over that shit. So I would take on all that fucking stress for what? He didn't give a single fuck about the consequences of his actions. He didn't give a fuck about the fact that he got me kicked out of my place. He didn't give a fuck that we were living out of a car. He didn't. There was so much shit that he didn't give a fuck about, but I stuck it with him because I thought I loved him. I thought that was love. Again, another fucking toxic relationship that I'm allowing because all these this consistent pattern of fucked up relationships after fucked up relationship has made me now think that that's the norm, and it's not. But anyway, I stayed with this man, and the drug use, the drug abuse became so unbelievably bad that the night that things ended because they needed to. It had gotten to a point where I didn't, if he wanted to do his drugs, I didn't want to be in the way of that because Lord knows I tried getting him off that shit. But if he wanted to go down that route, I did not want to be there for his fourth fucking overdose. Because to do it once, I'm not saying it's okay, but let's just fucking like roll with the fucking punches and say, shit happens. Twice, 3 fucking times though. And can you imagine to have stuck around for a fourth fucking time? What the fuck is wrong with me? Is what I would have fucking asked. Not what's wrong with him, because we know what the fuck's wrong with him. What the fuck's wrong with you though for sticking around for that? To just put yourself to that agony, not agony, but like that that just that emotional fucked up space because you're watching your this person that you love destroy himself like that. So by the time that I said, so when the night came finally that I said enough is enough and I told him to get the fuck out, literally told him to get the fuck out with those exact words, it was because I had gotten to a point where I had given everything I possibly could and I had no more. I had no more to fucking give. I had no more money to give. I had no more affection to give. I had no more fucking drugs to give. I didn't have any other fucking thing to give that man because I had already given him everything, mind, body, and soul, for fucking real. And so after going through all this bullshit, he left, and it broke my heart that he left because through all the bullshit that we went through, it was not all bad. I've never been one to, try to like completely fucking like victimize myself and all that shit. No, because it takes two to make something work, and it takes two to fuck something up, and it takes two to, to reconcile and build something again. But in in the middle of all the drama, there were still a lot of moments that we shared that are now beautiful memories. And I hate that they're memories because at one point I truly believe that we could have made that a reality. And I hate that drugs got in the way of that and that they destroyed all that shit and that I allowed it. Because that's not what I wanted for us. It's not the relationship that I wanted to have with him. I wanted us to have nothing but the best, and I would constantly try to talk him up and try to give him good advice to get him off drugs and try to tell him, the type of man that wants all the things that you want. Like, there's no room for drugs or any of that shit in that man's life because that's not the type of man that owns the things that you want and that has the ambitions that you want. And at the end of the day, it ended up not mattering because he left like nothing, you guys. And we went from talking like a couple times a day to a couple times a week to eventually nothing. And even to this day, it hurts because I didn't deserve to be just disappeared on like that. I got no closure. I never got any closure, and to this day, I still haven't gotten any. But that's where I came in, you guys, with my channel, and part of it is um, for me, and another part is to help anybody that maybe has gone through a similar situation. Because now at this point, you guys pretty much know my entire life and all the relationships and how bad each one's been and why it led me going down the path that I did. But after the relationship before this last one, I said that I wouldn't allow some shit like that to happen again, where somebody would toy with me emotionally. And then this guy, he really fucking stretched it out. But you know what? I thank God and I think the divine that I was given the strength to be able to move on and keep on going at times when I felt like it doesn't matter how hard I prayed or how much I cried, like it. I just felt like I wasn't gonna get out of that funk. I wasn't gonna um, escape that sadness, that depression, but I did. And this is where the divine comes in, and the reason that I started my whole spirituality journey, and this